Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So, just a quick recap on some things that happened yesterday. It was great to see Lucky Place win at Ascot. Obviously a great result for us, particularly as we highlighted Lucky Place in one of our emails, or a couple of our emails, I think a week or so ago, suggested that he was a horse that I was really keen on. Now, interestingly, 3 horses for Nicky Henderson were entered in a race, and I said all 3 of them could win. They were Peaky Boy, who did win the race, Lucky Place, who's since gone to the hurdle race and won it, and Barlow. Keep an eye out for Barlow. Also, if you're watching this video via YouTube or via Twitter and you're not getting this via the email, there are 2 horses also going to appear in my email that's coming out on Monday. I'll probably resend it again on Tuesday with a few other bits of details. That I really think you should add to your NAGME from their performances on Saturday. I'm not going to go over them in this video, that's for the email, but there are a few horses that I am going to go over in this video that I think will be interesting going forward for different reasons. Starting off talking about Castledot, who ran yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday. He ran yesterday in the beginner's chase featuring Ballyburn, and now all eyes were on Ballyburn, and rightly so. A pretty accomplished round of jumping from Ballyburn at the front, and won it comfortably. I'm hoping that everybody kept all of their eyes on Ballyburn and nobody was watching Castledot. You can see that he actually never traded shorter in the run. Despite going off 23.1, he never traded shorter. Even some of the massive price selections traded shorter in the run. He didn't, because he was given a ride that I think was, they were looking after him a little bit, they were making sure he could just jump, and had no intention of really going after Ballyburn, whilst I was hoping they were going to be a little bit more conservative with their effort, but they asked for a bit of effort to make sure he did get up 4 second late on. Now, I really like this horse. I think connections know he's well handicapped. He turned up in the UK for the Betfair Hurdle for his first run for Willie Mullins off 133, and he went off 7-2 favourite for a Betfair Hurdle. He's since gone off relatively short prices for feature handicaps. It didn't work over hurdles, but they're going up over fences, and I'm quite hopeful that this was a good enough performance here to show that now he's over fences, he can really kick on. And I think if he can find another race, maybe even something like the Forheen Novice Chase, you know, he's not going to win that. He'll find something in against him, potentially Ballyburn again. He can run round, he can learn to jump, and learn to jump at pace, which obviously he would need to if he was to end up in graded races, but it would just really help him come when dropping into handicap company. If he turned up in a handicap off, say, 127, which is his current handicap mark over hurdles, I think he would go really close in a chase. I expect him to massively step forward from his run yesterday. As I said, I hope that they stick to graded races for a little bit and then maybe turn up at Cheltenham in that 2.5 novice handicap chase that it's now been reverted to. Back to a handicap instead of a grade 1. A Castledot could certainly be one for that. As I said, he only went off 7s last year for the Martin Pipe, off the back of finishing mid-division or 8th in the Betfair Hurdle, and he still only went off 7s for a Martin Pipe. He is nicely handicapped. I thought jumping fences was fine for him, and he's definitely one that I'm interested in as soon as he goes back into handicap company. Moving on to the 130, this horse, Phlegmatic, finished 4 for 4, beaten 45 lengths by Pictory. Perfect. And you'll look at me and go, perfect for a horse that's now been beaten 38 lengths, 17 lengths, 45 lengths. Yep. I think his whole season is being geared around returning to Kempton in February for the Coral, what do they call it? The Coral handicap chase. The Coral Trophy handicap chase. Why? He's finished 2nd in this race of 135. He finished 4th in this race last year off 140. He's now down to 137. The handicapper may drop him a couple of pounds from this. Say he drops him back to 135. He would potentially run off the same mark as when beaten a neck by Our Power. in that lucrative race at Kempton. For me, he's kind of going along the very similar lines of Langadan. He could well be the Langadan of this season that everyone is, because it's not going to be aimed at Cheltenham, people are kind of not worried about it too much. But because Dan Skelton made a plan, and a whole season plan for getting a horse back for the Coral Cup, people threw the toys out the pram and were up in arms about it. I thought it was great placement. Clearly wasn't fit for most of the races, turned up for the Coral Cup and won. You're allowed to do that. Phlegmatic could well be doing the same thing here for the Coral Trophy Handicap Chase at Kempton. I think it's 85 grand to win it. Just having a look, it is indeed 85 grand to win it. Why would you not plot a horse to go for that? He's 9. He doesn't run at Cheltenham. He's never actually been to Cheltenham, I don't think. He hasn't indeed. I was just looking through his form. He's very much a Kempton horse. And yeah, go and win that handicap. But quietly get him dropped and dropped and dropped. Turn up for the Coral Trophy handicap chase, and I think he will take all of the beating, if not win it quite comfortably, to be honest. Off 135, I'd be really, really hopeful. He's got some really good form at Kempton. And yeah, I think if this was being aimed at Cheltenham, and he'd run so well in a Cheltenham race, people would be throwing their toys out the pram already about Phlegmatic. Oh, wait till he gets to Cheltenham, he's going to bounce back. And this is their Langadan for the season. Phlegmatic, wait till he goes to Kempton. Moving on to the 340 at Haydock, the 3 mile 1 furlong handicap chase that Fontaine Cologne won. And I was very impressed with the performance of Mombay Genius. That is his first good run for a little while. When I say his first good run for a little while, it's only 2 runs. Those 2 runs were in a Premier Chase, which he probably didn't want to win. If they had any aspirations of going for the Grand National, they probably left a lot of work in. And then finishing third, pulling up in an Ultima. Now, he turned up for the Ultima, looking quite nicely, looking like he could go well. He was £7 higher than when he finished third to Correct Rambler and Fast or Slow. Now, obviously, Fast or Slow's come out today and finished 4th in another Grade 1, the John Durkan. That's a very good performance. Correct Rambler obviously went on to win a Grand National. He did go on to win the Grand National. No issues whatsoever with that performance. Now, last season he pulled up, but he got injured that day when he pulled up. He made a mistake, I think, at the 4th, never really got going after that and pulled up. He's clearly had a little bit of time off. He 256 days before his run yesterday. And it was a good performance behind Fontaine Cologne. We've got to remember, it was soft ground, soft stroke heavy. Fontaine Cologne had won at the course. It was a Venetia Williams horse who love soft ground. Fontaine Cologne had won at Haydock, so that's another big positive for that horse. There was lots to like, actually, about Fontaine Cologne once the ground had gone in his favour. So for Mombay Genius to run on into second, I thought it was a good effort. Very interested to see if the handicapper drops him £1 or 2. If he does, say he drops him back to 142, I would be going, he's got to be aimed at the Ultima at Cheltenham. If you turned back up off a £2 higher mark than when finishing third to Correct Rambler, the subsequent Grand National winner, and Fast or Slow, a subsequent Grade 1 winner and placed horse, surely you've got a horse there that is incredibly, really well handicapped. And just focus on that all season. Now, work back from that. He's had his run for the season. You don't need to target him at too much. There's no point going and winning races like Chepstow or whatever. Go back for their Ultima, and I think they could. I think they could win it this year if the injury was what caused him to pull up last season. So that's Mombay Genius, one that I definitely think is interesting going forward off the back of a good run. 140 at Haydock. I want to give Patrioti another chance. He unseated. You can see that he'd been quite highly tried. He'd got some good R figures. Very unexposed. Unfortunately, unseated. 5 out. To be fair to Isabel Williams, she hadn't actually made any effort. She hadn't gone for Patriotic at all. Hadn't asked the horse to get closer yet. And I would argue that his best performance actually came on heavy going at Foss Lass when a very comfortable winner of a nervous hurdle. So it's well within right to suggest that maybe he would have got going and picked up quite strongly. Interestingly, that came when going forward, and most of his other runs that he's performed well in, he's actually been ridden right up with the pace. I know they were checking to see whether he got the trip. I would like to see them revert to tactics and go a bit further forward, rather than sitting out the back and waiting. If they can get Patrioti forward, I do think he's nicely handicapped, and I do think he was going to run a decent race here. He got really well supported into sevens. Don't give up on Patrioti. I wouldn't be against them dropping the backing trip. Go 2.5 mile next time, but go forward. Ride him a bit more forward. And obviously, with the soft ground now probably starting to come into the season, I think Patrioti is one that we can definitely go again on. Final one who ran yesterday, I want to talk about one other horse. The final horse that ran yesterday is Kitty's Light. Now, the ground was officially good, but if you watch the race, it looked softer than good, didn't it? Only 5 finished of the 10. The winner won it by 31 lengths. Horses that were way out the back just couldn't get involved. Yeah, I feel that if you were too far back, you couldn't get involved, and also this was not good ground. Now, connections of Kitty's Light have always been wary of that soft and heavy going. They've always tried to stick away from it, and maybe that was what caused a poor run from Kitty's Light. However, because of that poor run, the horse is going to drop in the handicap. Was rated 140 yesterday, could well be 137 next time. 136, 137. If they drop it £3 to 137, you don't run again for the rest of the season now, for the rest of the winter. You give up. You've had 3 runs. You've got the horse nicely handicapped. You then have a long break now before returning for the Ida Chase in February. No need to run before that. Go to the Ida Chase of 137. I think you win that. And you then go up, what, £5 or £6? You'd still be nicely handicapped for the Scottish National. You'd probably still be nicely handicapped for the Bet365 Gold Cup. They're your next 3 runs. You go Ida Chase, Scottish National, Bet365 Gold Cup. No need to do anything else. That'll be 6 runs for the season, which is plenty. And he's just nicely handicapped now, ready for a return for a big race. I don't want him in the Grand National. He's not going to win the Grand National. He's not classy enough. They're going to be Grade 1 horses in the Grand National now from now on, I believe, and he's just not classy enough for that. But he's definitely good enough to win an Ida Chase, which is good prize money for winning an Ida. 41 grand. You can also go for the Scottish National, which will suit him a lot better. That's 112. You know, you target those type of races. And the Bet365 Gold Cup was also rated at 90 grand, worth 90 grand for the winner. So yeah, Kitty's Light, put him away now, come back in the spring. And finally, one other horse I want to talk about is Cheltenham. Now, if you're reading my email, you'll know why I'm talking about Cheltenham. I think the Bold Thady should have won yesterday. Kick Up a Storm, who won this, went on to win again. Cheltenham, you can see, was very unexposed, and I think was beaten by 2 very well handicapped horses in Kick Up a Storm and the Bold Thady. With that in mind, Cheltenham has only gone up £1 to 106. Keep an eye out for that horse when he comes back out in another novices handicap hurdle. I think he'll be the one to beat in it. So yeah, there's 6 horses that you definitely want to keep an eye on going forward. Castledot went into handicap company. Flagmatic went into handicap company, hopefully at Kempton. Monbeg Genius for the old teamer. Don't do anything with him now and look after him for the old teamer. Patriotic, give another chance, might drop in trip, but also wants to be ridden a bit further forward. Kitty's Light, give up now for the rest of the winter, come back in the spring for the Ida, the Scottish National and the Bet365 Gold Cup. And finally, Cheltenham, I think is a horse that just bumped into 2 very well handicapped horses last time out.